Hello everyone, this is Syntax Error and welcome back to another tutorial. In today's tutorial, we're going to take a look at the Bomber Elytra. Now first of all, I'd like to mention that there are indeed timestamps down below in the description, so you can go ahead and skip to whichever section you want to skip to. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what the item actually does. So if we go ahead and run the command /give Bomber Elytra, it will give us this Elytra. And if we go ahead and pay attention to the Bomber mode, which is in the yellow text font thing, if you go ahead and sneak, it would actually change from on to off. So you can toggle it on or off. And if you go ahead and just put it to the chest plate slot, you can actually see what it actually does. So I may or may not have actually gone slightly overkill on this thing. But anyways, so now it will be toggled off for the time being. And if we go ahead and just use the Elytra a bit, nothing special will happen. However, if we go ahead and shift or sneak in mid-air again, TNT will start materializing out of nowhere. And it does indeed use TNT from your inventory, so you can't just duplicate TNTs. Yeah. And if you go ahead and shift again, it will actually off. And if we run out of TNT in the inventory, as we can see, it will also stop spawning the TNT below us. So with that all said, let's get straight into the coding then. Alright, for the coding part, we are back in our custom items plugin, and the first thing that we can go ahead and do is create a new Java class, and this time we're just going to name it as usual item manager. So this is where we are going to be designing the item. Now first of all, we are going to create a public static item stack, and we are going to name this Bomber Elytra just to make things simple. We are not supposed to put a bracket there. And we are also going to create a public static void, and we are going to name it init, which stands for initialization. And we're just going to leave it as it is for the time being, and create a private static void. And we're just going to call this one create Bomber Elytra, to make things simple again. Now we're going to create the item stack first. So item stack item equals to a new item stack. And in the brackets, we're going to put material.elytra because we want the item to look like an Elytra, and we are going to put a comma and put the amount as 1. Then we can go ahead and get the item meta now. So item meta equals to item.get item meta. And now we're going to set the display name of the item. So meta.set display name, put our speech marks in our brackets, and we are going to go into Google Chrome, into one of these websites with all the color codes. The link to this website will be down below the description. And we can just go ahead and copy one of these color code symbol things and paste it right in. Now we're going to add a 6 next to the color code symbol just for gold in color. And we can go ahead and type the name, which would be Bomber Elytra. Now we're going to create the lore of the item. So to do that, we're going to create a list, put angle bracket and put string in the angle brackets. Name it as lore equals to a new array list. Now we're going to add individual lines of lore now, which is going to take quite some bit of time. Stick with me. Lore.add, that's the wrong speech marks. Speech marks, paste in our color code again, and put a 6 for golden color. Item ability colon bomber. And then we're going to move down another line, add another line of lore, paste in color code symbol again. Put a 7 this time for gray in color. And just type bomb everything below you when. And we are just going to leave the lore hanging here and move down one line. Just make it so that people can actually see when they hover the mouse over the item. Put the 7 again for the color code number. You are gliding using this Elytra. And then we are just going to add an empty line of lore. Not going to do anything. It's just for aesthetic purposes. And we're also going to add another line of lore. And then we are going to paste in the color code again, but this time put an E for yellow in color. And we're going to type bomber mode colon on. So it's going to be on. The bomber mode is going to be on default. Then we are going to add another line of lore as well. Paste in the color code, put an E for yellow. And just type sneak to toggle mode. And the reason why we are putting sneak instead of shift, because there are some people like me that use the spacebar for the sneaking in game instead of shift. Don't judge. Meta.set lore as lore, and then we can go ahead and set the item meta. So item.set item meta as meta, And finally, bomber elytra equals to our item. That's not semicolon. Anyways, moving back, we are gonna go back into our init class that we created earlier and just type create bomber elytra. So with that, we are technically done with this item manager class. Now we can move back into our main class just to type something very special, item manager dot init. And with that, we are technically done with the design. Now we can move on with the item commands. For the item commands, we can just go ahead and create another new Java class, and this time we are going to name it commands for simplicity. Then we can just go ahead and implement command executor. And we are also going to create a public boolean, and we are also going to call this on command. And in the brackets, we are going to put command sender, comma, command, cmd, comma, string label, comma, and finally string square brackets args. Then we are first of all going to check if the sender of the command is clear. So if sender instance of clear, then we are going to move out of the curly brackets first to create an else statement, which will represent if the sender is not clear. So sender.send message, only players can use that command. Then we are going to return true. Then we're going to move back into our if statement to get the player. So player equals to bracketed player sender. And then next, we are going to check if the player that sent the command is opt. So if player dot is opt, then we are also going to do the usual and go outside of the brackets first to create an else statement. So if the player is not opt, we are going to do player dot send message. You are not allowed to use this command. We're going to make it as intimidating as possible. And we're also going to move out of this curly brackets and just, that's not how we spell return. Return true. That's not how we spell true. And then we can move back into our if statement again, and this time we are going to check the command that they sent. So if cmd.getName.equals ignore case, and over here we're going to put our speech marks and type in the command that we want to listen to, which in this case is give bomber elytra. So if the command is give bomber elytra, we're going to give them the bomber elytra. So player.getInventory.add item, and the item that we want to give them, item manager.bomber elytra. And with that, we are done with this class, but we are not done with the commands yet. Now we can move back into our main class just to list the command there. So we just need to type get command and put our speech marks inside the brackets again. And we're going to move back into our commands class just to copy this command here. And we're going to paste that in. It's because whatever we type here must be the exact same as whatever we typed here. And we do not want to make any quote-unquote syntax errors there. Yeah. Anyways, we're going to type .set executor and just type new commands. New commands is basically class name. Now we can go into the plugin.yml, which can be found under the resources folder, and we can just go ahead and type commands and on there as well. And we're also going to just paste in the command because it has to be the exact same. And we are going to type description underneath it and just say gives the player a bomber elytra, and put the usage as /angle bracket command close angle bracket. And with that, we are finally done with the item commands. Now we can move on with the items function. For the items function, we are also going to do the usual and create another new Java class. And this time we're just going to name it the name of the item, which in this case is bomber elytra. So we're just going to go ahead and create that, and as usual implements listener. Now first of all, we are going to need to get the instance of the main class, so we're going to create a constructor for that. So we're just going to type the name of the main class, which in this case is custom items, and we're going to type plugin. Then we are going to type public and the name of the class, which is bomber elytra, and in the brackets we are going to type the name of the plugin again, which would be custom items. Type plugin again and just type this dot plugin equal to plugin. So after we've created that, we can move on with our add event handlers. We're just going to go ahead and create that add event handler and just type public void, and we're just going to call this on apply. Then in the brackets, we're going to listen to an entity toggle. That's not how we spell toggle. Entity toggle glide event, and we're just going to type event directly next to it. So this will run whenever an entity starts to use the Elytra. So we're going to create an if statement just to check if the entity is a player. So event.getEntity instance of player. And we're going to convert that entity into a player. So player equals to bracketed player event.getEntity. And now after that, we are going to create a new bookit runnable. We're just going to type that. New bookit runnable, and we are going to type public void run. Now, first of all, within the bookit runnable, which is basically something that loops through every few ticks, we're going to check if the player is still gliding or not. So if player.is gliding, then we are going to move outside of the curly brackets first and create an else statement. So if the player stops gliding, we are going to cancel the bookit runnable so that it doesn't lag out the entire server. And then we are also going to create another if statement. This time, we are just going to run a bunch of null checks. If player.getInventory.getChest, that's not the right one. Player.getInventory.getChestplate is not null. And player.getInventory.getChestplate.getItemMeta is not null. Now we're just going to move down one step just to make things slightly easy. Player.getInventory.getChestplate.getItemMeta.getLore is not null. Then we are also going to move outside of this if statement to create an else statement, and we are also going to cancel runnable if one of these conditions are false. Then we are going to check if the player's chest plate is an Elytra, is the bombing Elytra. So if player.getInventory.getChestplate.getItemMeta.getLore.contains. And this time we are going to go back into our item manager to get a line of lore that is unique to the item, which in this case is the 0th element of the array list, of lore's array list basically. So we're going to go ahead and just type item manager dot bomber elytra dot get item meta dot get lore dot get the index is 0. So basically why we are running this instead of just copying and pasting like what we did last time is so that just in case we change something here, then whatever here will still be working. So then after that, we can just go ahead and first of all, we are going to check if the Elytra, the bomber Elytra is on or not. So we're going to type string lore line equals to player dot get inventory dot get chestplate dot get item meta dot get lore dot get. Then we're going to move into our item manager class again and count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's on the 4th index. So this is where our on or off is situated. Then we can go ahead and just type 4 inside. And then we're going to split the string into an array list as well. So list string, and we're just going to name this as lore split equals to a new array list. And then in the brackets, we are going to type arrays dot as list lore line dot split, and we're going to split it by the space. Then we're going to import list as well. So after we have split the string into a list, basically bomber and the color code would be the 0th index, mode and the colon would be the 1st index, and the on or off would be the 2nd index. So that's what we want. So we're going to create string mode equal to lore split dot get 2nd index, which is where our on or off is located. Then now we are going to check if the Elytra is on or off. So if mode dot equals to on, Then we are also going to check if the player has TNT in their inventory. So if player.getInventory.contains at least new item stack, and in the brackets we're going to put material.tnt because we are checking for TNT, and put amount as 1. So if they have at least one piece of TNT in their inventory, we are going to spawn the TNT at their location. Now we are going to spawn the TNT, so player.getWorld.spawn, and we're going to spawn it at the player's location, so player.getLocation, we are going to spawn a TNT prime, and we're just going to type .class after it. So this will spawn a TNT, and now we're going to remove one piece of TNT from their inventory. So player.getInventory.remove item, and we're going to create a new item stack. So new item stack, and we're going to remove TNT. So material.tnt, 1, because we are only going to remove one piece of TNT. So after that, we have to move outside of all these if statements back to this statement, which is basically checking if bomber elytra is if the player is using a bomber elytra, and we are going to create an else statement and cancel it. So kind of forgot that step just now. So after that, we can move all the way down to wherever this red error thing is, and we are going to type .run task timer, and in brackets we are going to type plugin, which is the reason why we needed the constructor just now, and we're going to type 0L for the delay and 5L for the period. So for the 5L, it's basically in ticks, and just a quick note, there are 20 ticks in a second. So what this means is that this OK runnable, all these lines of code will run every 5 ticks, which is basically 4 times per second. Now moving on, we can move outside of this add event handler and head on to our next step. So we're also going to create another add event handler, and this time we're just going to call it public void on sneak. Then we are going to listen to a player toggle sneak event, and you can type event as well. Now this is where we are going to be coding the function wherever the player sneaks. I'm going to change it on or off. So first of all, we are going to get the player. So player equals to event.getPlayer. And now first of all, we are going to check if the player was not sneaking before. So if event.getPlayer is sneaking. And the reason why we have to do this is because player toggle sneak event will run whenever the player sneaks and whenever they unsneak. So we're gonna check if the player was sneaking before. So the first time when they toggle the sneak, are going to change off. Then now we are again going to check. Right, we're going to run all now checks basically. So if player.getInventory.getChestplate is not null, and player.getInventory.getChestplate.getItemMeta is not null, and we're just going to move down one line just to make it slightly easy. Event. That's not the correct. And player.getInventory.getChestplate.getItemMeta.getLore is not null. Basically, just a quick run through why we are doing all these null checks is so that our console will not get spammed with null pointer exceptions if they are using a chestplate or if they are not using a chestplate. Yeah, because it's quite annoying that happens. Anyways, moving on, now we're going to check if the player is using a bomber elytra. So we're going to do the exact same steps as before. If player.getInventory.getChestplate.getItemMeta.getLore.contains item manager.bomber elytra.getItemMeta.getLore.get. So if they are wearing the elytra, we are going to get the bomber elytra. So item stack item equals to player.getInventory.getChestplate. And then we are going to get the item meta of the item. Item meta equals to item.getItemMeta. Then we are going to get the lore of the item this time. So list string lore equals to meta.get lore. And then we are going to get the line of lore where our on or off is. In this case, we counted just now as well. String lore line. We're just going to call it lore line equals to lore.get lore as the index. Then we are again going to split it. So list string. We are again going to call it lore split just because I'm not a creative in naming variables. It equals to new array list array.slist lore line dot split, and we are just going to split it by the space again. Now we are going to get mode. So string mode equals to lore split dot get, because we also counted just now where the on or off was located. Now if mode dot equals to on, so if the Elytra was on whenever they sneak, we are going to change it to off. Then we are going to go ahead and do lore.set the fourth index, because that is where our line of where the on or off is located. Lore.set for, comma, put our speech marks, go back into our item manager class, and just get this line of lore, paste it in, and just change the on to off, because we want to switch the on to off whenever sneak. And then we can go ahead and just type meta.set lore as our lore, and then we can just go ahead and just type item.set item meta as our meta. Now all we have to do is just go ahead and create an else statement. So else, if it's not on, it has to be off. So we're just going to copy this part, paste it in, and just change the off to on. So with that, we are done with this part. And now, because whatever we did here was checking if the player was wearing the Bomber Elytra, now we're going to check if they are holding the Elytra. So again, we are going to go ahead and copy this entire lines of code so that we don't waste time recoding the entire thing. Just paste it underneath and just change the .get chestplate to .get item in hand. And in this case, since we are getting the item in main hand, we do not need the null check for our if our item in main hand is not null. All we have to do is just go ahead and just change up all these .get chestplate to .get item in main hand. We're just gonna move line up so that we can actually see what we are doing. And then we are going to change this to .get item in hand again. Change this to .get item in and again. And then the last one is this one. So that get item in main hand, and we are technically done with the items function. Well, not entirely done yet. Anyways, we are done with this class, and we can move back into our main class just to register event. So .get server, .get plugin manager, .register events, new Bomber Elytra, and we have to put this in the brackets because we constructor, and just put comma this again. And with that, we are done with the coding part, and we can just go ahead and build the artifacts, and I'll see you in the test server. Alright, so we are back in our test server, and if we go ahead and just run the command /give bomber elytra, it will give us this elytra, and we can just go ahead and shift and sneaking, and it will turn it on or off. So if you go ahead and just put it there and use the firework rocket, you would see no TNT coming out because it's off. If you go ahead and sneak again, a TNT will start falling out of nowhere, and it will actually consume TNT from our inventory, which is great, so that people don't duplicate TNT. Yeah, so yeah, that's that, I guess. So that's it for today's video, I guess. If you did enjoy today's video, please leave a like and subscribe. It will be greatly appreciated. And if you do have any other ideas for future plugins or tutorials, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. And with that all said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you when I see you in the next video. Bye!